Mr. Scamander, do you know anything about the wizarding community in America? We don't let things loose.
Hey, Mr. English guy, I think your egg is hatching.
You wiped his memory, right? The no magic.
The what?
No magic. The non-wizard.
Sorry, we call them muggles.
I don't think I'm dreaming.
Give it away.
I ain't got the brains to make this up.
Something is stalking our city. Wreaking destruction. And then disappearing without a trace. Witches live among us.
We've lived in the shadows for too long.
Hi, welcome to What the Flick. I am Christy, that is Alonzo, and that is Matt, and we are super cozy today to talk to you about Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, a Harry Potter spin-off. Kinda.
Ish. Yeah. So if you thought the Harry Potter cinematic universe was over, you're wrong. J.K. Rowling is script writing for the first time. She wrote the screenplay for this. And it is a prequel of sorts. It is set within the world of wizards and witches and muggles. Although this one is set in the United States, and we find out they have different terms. For example, muggles are now no-mages. I think muggle works better. Anyway, so Eddie Redmayne, Academy Award winner Eddie Redmayne, plays Newt Scamander, author of the titular field guide to magical beasts. And he has arrived in New York City with a suitcase full of creepy crawlies. And of course, they get loose and things get nutty. And he crosses paths with the Magical Congress of the United States, and particularly an agent played by Catherine Waterston. Take a look.
We got a plan, right, guys?
They need our help.
Was that everything that came out of the case?
I won't let another one die. I refuse to bow down any longer. Time is running out, Mr. Scamander.
So if you love Harry Potter, you may or may not love this. You know,
I love the Harry Potter movies. I love the Harry Potter books. I was like super down for all this stuff until now, and this movie I found kind of charmless. The period setting I thought was going to be kind of interesting, but it felt artificial. I believe in Hogwarts and the night bus and all the stuff from the earlier movies. Everything in this movie felt kind of weirdly artificial.
even though, strangely, it's directed by the guy who did the last 4 Harry Potter movies.
Exactly. Who
David
should know how to
Yates.
do it by now.
And you talk about the setting, and one of the weird things, I mean, it works in the Harry Potter movies because you've got what in the wizarding world replaces technology, but it feels very Baroque, right? And you get this kind of fish out of water, or this, you see the dichotomy between that and the modern world that Harry comes from.
Right.
And so it puts you out of that. But then there's less of a difference because you're looking at this movie that's set in the 20s, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And the magic technology kind of looks almost period specific to that time, and it doesn't feel like it never really establishes there's this other world the way the Harry Potter movies do, right?
Because it's set in the reality of New York.
You're set in the reality of New York, and even when you have moments where you go into, the wizarding offices.
Yeah.
And stuff's doing it by itself,
Like
the
it
papers
still
and all that.
feels kind of Art Deco. It still feels.
Yeah, it's like the pneumatic tubes that you would have seen in a real office, and like that was one of the moments where I thought, okay, they're not getting this right, because when you think about like what is it, platform 8 3/4 or
9
whatever?
3/4.
9 3/4. Forgive me.
Between 9 and 10.
9
Come on.
3/4. I haven't read these in a while. Like that's such a cool thing. And it's the way they describe it in the books, the way they do it in the movies. It's like it's a neat thing that you can wrap your head around. And in this movie, there's like the revolving doors to get into the Woolworth building, and then there's a separate door that takes you into the Magical Congress. But they don't shoot it in a way that makes that entrance
The transition.
a cool
The
thing.
change.
It's just like they walked in the
Yes.
door and there they are. You know?
Especially because we just got a movie called Doctor Strange
Yeah.
that does this really great job of showing you different magical dimensions that still look familiar, but they're different enough. And you
Within
know,
our own reality.
Now, admittedly, you know, I'm going to say that Marvel paid me to say that. So,
Well,
Full
his-
disclosure.
His nice,
Full
spiffy new
disclosure.
sweater
Exactly,
that Matt's wearing is courtesy of the fine folks at Marvel.
but you know, we're talking about the setting. That's not the biggest of this movie's problems. Like,
No.
I
I'm
found
just-
one of the
That's just
biggest
one.
problems is that the character of Newt Scamander is boring.
Oh God.
Completely
Oh,
uninteresting.
He's all
and-
adorably fidgety. Come
Yeah,
on.
but
And
I-
Catherine Waterston, who's this really interesting actress, is playing this dish rag nothing character. Like she's
Right, Dan Fogler and the blonde sister are the most interesting thing
yes,
going on. in
they
this.
were they're
They're
the
adorable.
Like,
one
I
thing
want a
movie
whole
cared
movie.
about.
I want a movie just about Dan Fogler's character.
Yeah, the
because
baker
he's-
and the mind reader. Those are the ones I like best.
But that was
That's like an
interesting.
O. Henry story.
yeah, you're right.
And you know, one of the things that the Harry Potter movies do really well is you are introduced to this world through Harry, right?
Yeah.
Because Harry grew up in a mundane world and he's late to the magic party. And you sort of get that, you can see that they're trying to do that with Fogler's character as this nomad, this muggle who is kind of awakens to this magical world that he doesn't normally see. But he's not the main character of the story. And I think it just doesn't work that well. And
Well,
it's frustrating.
It's trying to do a lot of things at once here. And I know that she wrote the script 4 years ago. And I think a lot of people are trying to assign a great deal of relevance to the themes of trying to eradicate people who are different or foreign or perceived as scary. And I think there's a sense that we're trying to, assign all the significance to it in a post-Trump elect world. I'm not sure that you can do that. How this works best for me is purely from the visual perspective of the moments that are whimsical and light, and that is with the creatures themselves. Right. So that was where I connected with it the best, because they are colorful and they are bizarre and they are maybe a little scary, but the best one of all is is he a platypus?
Well, he
the
looks like a
pickpocketing
platypus, yes.
I mean, they're all beautiful and wondrous, and that's where the movie, no pun intended, really takes flight, is when the creatures are doing their thing, and then they're all new to all of us.
But it's kind of a cataloging, though. I didn't find any of them all that interesting as far as what they do or how they respond to things or people or whatever.
They're entertaining and they're amusing at least.
Yeah, they're charming to look at, but
Yeah.
it's just that only takes you so far. I mean, there's just all these very strange choices in this film. Like there's a scene where one of the animals that looks like this big sort of rhino thing is chasing after Dan Fogler, and Dan Fogler is doing this sort of silent movie kind of, slapstick running. And the score, rather than being kind of comedic chase music or even being a counterpart to comedic chase music, is just James Newton Howard doing this sort of generic-y John Williams riff. And I'm like, this moment's not landing for me at all.
This is
And
not
there's
a John Williams score,
There's
by
a
the way.
lot of that. Just as these moments that should be working that don't, and then really kind of grim shit. You've got Samantha Morton as this second Salemer. So she's this super anti-witch, fundamentalist minister who has all these adopted kids whom she abuses, and the movie tells us this. We see her thwacking Ezra Miller on the palms, and it's like, whoa, okay, that's a little Dickensian for me right now. I know the Harry Potter movies got darker as they went along, but it was 4 or 5 movies in, and the kids were getting older. You're seeing children getting abused in this really sooty area of New York, and it's this is not fun.
But I would also say I don't think this is a kids movie.
Well,
I don't know that this is a kids. This is aimed at the way the early Harry Potter movies are certainly aimed at a younger 6, 7, 8 year old.
But it's
They're all
not.
really
But it's
young.
not a movie for adults because it's not smart or funny.
This is a movie for the marketing team at
Yeah,
Warner Brothers.
it's a product.
This is, honestly, that's part of the problem here is that yet again we're getting corporate mandated filmmaking from Warner Brothers, which is here's the checkboxes of the marketing things that we need to do to further our franchise, and let's slap this together. And I don't know that this is a story that needed to be told. If you're looking to check into the Harry Potter universe, sure, this is fine. But I think it's a real missed opportunity. There could have been a really interesting, fun story here. I think that the script probably needs another couple of passes. And it just
who's going
feels
to tell
kind
J.K.
of...
Rowling?
Well, yeah,
That's the other thing is it just all feels by the numbers. Okay, we've got Muggles interacting with magic, check. Okay, fun, crazy looking beast, check.
Yeah.
Big score, check.
And there's just a lot of moments that feel sort of these kind of generic sort of superhero effects movies, like let's destroy a bunch of buildings. There's a big speech about the people who want to like the magic people to stay hidden versus the ones who want to take over. And I'm like, oh great, it's an X-Men movie now. I needed another one of those.
Well, they are trying to establish their own little universe here, although it is, adjacent to the one that we know so well. I mean, they do have to take the time, and this is part of why it's no fun, because it's the first of this franchise. They got to establish the players and the rules and the universe, although some of it is familiar. Like, they say the word Hogwarts a couple times. They say the word Dumbledore a couple times. But this is its own thing, and so that's part of why this is no fun, and it's not as light and brisk as they've got to set up what is going to happen for the next 4 movies or whatever it is.
There's plenty of franchises. I think we've seen plenty of series that start out and establish universes right off the bat. I mean, Star Wars is the granddaddy of them all, right? Like, it could be done. I think that it's more that what this movie does, I think, too much is the fan service.
Trying to get too much in.
Like, it's trying to get too much in. And it's like, look, like you've got, just by doing, the Scamander is enough. Like, that's probably enough for everybody, but you got to keep hitting all these things, all these pieces, and sure, it's fine. I just think it takes away from the overall story, and I'm not really looking forward to the next one of these. Not in the way I was with Harry Potter.
There are 5, or however,
yeah.
No, there's never that sense of exhilaration that you get from the original Potter movies of like, oh crap, like this is this world where all these things are possible, and it's not just this sort of random crazy thing. Like there's an established order to all of this, to the school and the magical whatever, the various the magic bureaucracy basically, which this movie is way too enamored of.
Bakusa.
Yeah, I never had that moment of exhilaration, like, oh, that's so cool, oh, that's so charming, that's so funny. I didn't have that much at all.
I giggled here and there at the creatures.
Again, you're right. It's Dan Fogler and the actress who plays
but they're lovely together.
She's great. Right.
So you say it's not for kids. I brought my kid. He's seen a lot more movies than most kids have, and he loves Harry Potter. Like, we've watched all 8 movies. We're reading the books now. He loves them, and so he liked it more than I did. But again, he responded to it purely from like the beasts are cool perspective. Having said that, during the labyrinthian drive out of the Grove parking garage, he had a lot of questions in the car on the way home, like, why did so and so do this, and why did this happen? There's also, if you're going to bring kids, there's kind of a scary, like, dark cloud-like monster with a face that like whips around the streets and wreaks havoc, and maybe that might be scary for really little kids. I don't know.
Basically, I think J.K. Rowling is writing her own fan fiction.
It's masturbatory. There you go. All right, so what's your number then?
I said 6. Like, I mean, it's obviously crafted with some care, but you're right. That script needed more work, and this does not portend well for the rest of this franchise.
6.5.
Yeah, I give it a 6.8. Like, it's okay, but God, it could have been so much better.
Yeah, and it's long. It's over 2 hours long. So our number is a 6.4, and it's where on Tomatoes?
82% on the tomato meter.
It's really high.